For all the amount of time we've already spent breaking down every whisper and rumor surrounding Resident Evil Requiem, you'd think we'd have the game in our hands by now. But nope, we're still in the trenches, piecing this puzzle together. And look, we've covered the setting, we've covered the theories, but this new info, it's painting a pretty specific picture of where they're trying to take the tone. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is going to be the game of the year because real talk, I haven't played it. Nobody has. And Capcom has definitely dropped the ball before, but the direction, it's interesting. Before we get into the hunk of it all, if you've been riding with the channel through all this RE9 coverage and want to keep that streak going, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button and hype this video up by hitting that hype button. Seriously, it helps more than you think. All right, let's get into the narrative meat. There's talk about a specific scene that mirrors that old Outbreak moment. You guys know the one. But instead of Alyssa, it's Leon and Grace Ashcroft. And I don't need to explain to you guys who Grace is and why that connection matters. You know the history there. But what's wild to me isn't just the callback, it's the vibe. It suggests we're getting a version of Leon who is arguably past his prime, or at least feeling the weight of it. It's not just cool action hero does a backflip. If he's having a genuine emotional moment with Grace, it grounds the story in a way that the recent games kind of haven't. It feels heavier. But again, that's assuming the writing holds up and doesn't descend into cheesy melodrama, which is always a risk with this series. Then you've got the producer Masato Kumazawa talking about the game. He mentioned being relieved after playing the final build. Not hyped, not mind-blown, relieved. To me, that sounds like a dev cycle that was absolutely brutal. It sounds like they had a hard time balancing the tension, and he's just glad it didn't turn out to be a mess. I respect the honesty, honestly. It implies they were walking a tightrope between action and horror, and he thinks they didn't fall off. We'll see if he's right when we actually get our hands on the controller, but relieved is a very specific word choice. Now, they're also throwing around this phrase, 100% designed experience. Supposedly, this is about accessibility for new players. And look, I get it, business is business. But for us, the people who actually know the lore inside and out, that worries me a little bit. I don't want them to strip away the complexity just so a casual player doesn't get confused about the connections. But if we're being optimistic, maybe it just means the UI and pacing are cleaner. If designed experience means I don't have to read a text file to understand the basic plot, I'm cool with that. Just don't treat us like we're stupid, Capcom. We know what's up. But the real reason we're circling back to this today is the Hunk situation. We've discussed the rumors of his return before, but looking at it through the lens of this new plot info, it hits different. You guys know Hunk. You know what he represents. He's the antithesis of everything Leon stands for. If he is actually back leading a squad for this new corporate entity, it's not just a cameo, it's a statement. We are potentially looking at Leon S. Kennedy versus the Grim Reaper. And I don't need to spoon-feed you on why that's a big deal. It's the survivor versus the cleaner. Leon, who carries the trauma of Raccoon City, against Hunk, who treats it like just another Tuesday at the office. The clash of ideologies there is insane. That is, if, and it's a big if, they actually utilize it. My biggest fear is that they bring Hunk back just to be a cool boss fight with zero depth. But if they actually let these two characters interact, let their histories collide, that could be some of the best storytelling the franchise has ever done. So yeah, the pieces are on the board. We've got Grace, we've got a tired Leon, and we've got Hunk lurking in the shadows. It sounds good on paper, but paper doesn't always translate to a good game. I'm keeping my expectations in check till I see actual gameplay, but I'm definitely not sleeping on the potential here. So that for today. Let me know in the comments, do you trust Capcom to handle a Leon vs. Hunk storyline correctly, or do you think they're going to cook it? See you in the next video. Until then, stay informed, stay excited.